Welcome back, basketball fans, to what might be the most fascinating paradigm shift in the modern era of the sport. We are looking at a breaking narrative that is sending absolute shockwaves through the international basketball community, touching the shores of Japan, the archipelago of the Philippines, the rugged courts of Australia and New Zealand, and all the way to the grandest stage of them all, the NBA. Today, we are unpacking a highly specific, deeply technical, and incredibly exciting development that revolves around two generational Asian talents and a structural blueprint that could redefine global basketball. We are talking about the explosive point guard Yuki Kawamura and the towering prodigy KAI Sotto, and the growing, very real discussion about the immense, untapped potential of putting both of these international superstars onto a single NBA roster. But this story is not just about two players. It is fundamentally tied to what analysts are calling the figure three advantage, a specific, undeniable edge found in the basketball programs of Australia and New Zealand that the rest of the Asian region, and frankly the world, must hyper-focus on if they want to build sustainable championship cultures. Right now, the basketball world is shifting. We are moving away from an era where the NBA was strictly dominated by domestic talent, and we are entering a phase where the global game is dictating the pace, the style, and the future of the league. You look at the current landscape in 2026, and you see Yuki Kawamura getting standing ovations with the Chicago Bulls, contributing historic numbers, breaking down defenses with a level of speed and court vision that defies his 5'8" frame. You look overseas and see KAI Sotto standing at 7'3", returning from injury to absolutely dominate the B League, blocking shots into the stands, and proving that the Kaiju has fully awakened. The idea of pairing Kawamura's elite lightning-fast playmaking with Sotto's massive catch radius and vertical spacing is not just a fan-fiction dream anymore. It is a legitimate front-office calculus. It is a tactical pairing that has already been tested in the fires of the Yokohama B Corsairs, and it is one that NBA general managers are increasingly looking at as a viable, highly lucrative, and deadly effective combination. But to understand why this pairing works, and more importantly, to understand what stands in the way of Asian teams dominating the global stage, we have to look south. We have to look at Australia and New Zealand. The Boomers and the Tall Blacks have historically bullied their way through the Asian qualifiers, not just because of raw talent, but because of a deeply ingrained structural advantage. This is the figure three advantage. It is a culmination of grassroots development, a physically punishing professional league in the NBL, and a tactical discipline that turns raw prospects into battle-hardened veterans before they even hit their 20s. Today, we are going to dive deep into exactly what this advantage entails. We are going to analyze the Kawamura and Sotto dynamic like never before, breaking down the pick-and-roll geometry, the defensive implications, and the sheer commercial magnitude of this duo. We're going to explore KAI Sotto's crucial developmental years with the Adelaide 36 Airs in the NBL, how that prepared him for the physicality of the global game, and what the Philippine and Japanese national programs must extract from the Oceanic playbook. Buckle up, because this is not just a trade rumor or a simple player profile. This is a comprehensive documentary-style deep dive into the future of international basketball, the evolution of the Asian athlete, and the strategic mastery required to build an NBA dynasty. Let's begin by dissecting the core of this monumental idea. Yuki Kawamura and KAI Sotto on the same NBA team. To the untrained eye, this looks like a marketing gimmick, a way to instantly monopolize two of the most passionate basketball fan bases on the planet. And make no mistake, the economic reality of signing both the pride of Japan and the towering hope of the Philippines will result in unprecedented jersey sales, television rights, and global engagement. But we are here to talk basketball, and on the hardwood, this pairing makes terrifying sense. Think about the modern NBA offense. It is predicated on the high pick and roll, floor spacing, and forcing the defense into impossible decisions. Yuki Kawamura is a master manipulator of the pick and roll. We saw it during his incredible Olympic run with Akatsuki Japan. We saw it during his initial Exhibit 10 deal and subsequent rise with the Memphis Grizzlies playing alongside Zach Edey. And we are seeing it right now as he orchestrates the offense for Chicago Bulls. Kawamura does not just use screens. He weaponizes them. Because he is smaller, his center of gravity allows him to turn the corner at a velocity that traditional point guards simply cannot match. He forces the opposing big man to make a choice. Step up to stop his lightning-fast floater or penetration, or stay back and give him the passing lane. Now, insert a 7'3" KAI SOTTO into that exact action. Sato is not just tall. He possesses remarkably soft hands, incredible fluidity for his size, and an expanding shooting range. When Kawamura attacks the paint, the defense collapses. If you are the defensive anchor, the moment you commit your hips to stopping Kawamura's drive, Kawamura is going to throw a lob that only someone with a 9-foot-plus standing reach can catch. KAI SOTTO has that reach. During their time together with the Yokohama B Corsairs in the B League, we saw the embryonic stages of this connection. We saw games where Sato would casually drop 28 points and grab 21 rebounds, largely because Kawamura was spoon-feeding him in positions where the defense was completely compromised. Kawamura himself has openly stated that playing with Sato prepared him perfectly for the NBA because it taught him the specific angles, the exact loft, and the precise timing required to feed a true giant in heavy traffic. If an NBA team drafts or signs Sato and pairs him with Kawamura, they are instantly establishing an elite vertical spacing dynamic. Sato rolling to the rim creates a gravitational pull. Defenders have to tag the roller, which means shooters on perimeter are left wide open. And if they do not tag Sato, Kawamura will make them pay with an easy assist. Defensively, while Kawamura's height is a target for isolation plays, having a rim protector like Sato waiting in the paint allows Kawamura to play hyper-aggressive point-of-attack defense. He can pressure the ball handler full court, knowing that if he gets beat off the dribble, the kaiju is waiting in the paint to clean up the mistake with elite shot blocking. It is a symbiotic relationship. They cover each other's weaknesses and exponentially amplify each other's strengths. But why are we talking about this in the context of Australia and New Zealand? This is where the story gets incredibly deep, and we have to pivot to the figure 3 advantage. When we look at the trajectory of Asian basketball, particularly the national programs of Gilas Pilipinas and Akatsuki Japan, the ultimate measuring stick has always been the boomers and the tall blacks. Since Australia and New Zealand merged into the FIBA Asia zone, they have consistently exposed a specific gap in the traditional Asian style of play. That gap is not heart. It is not skill. It is not shooting. It is a combination of systematic physicality, relentless off-ball movement, and a grassroots structure that produces professional-ready bodies by the age of 18. This is the advantage that must be focused on. Let us break down exactly what makes the Australian and New Zealand basketball ecosystem so lethal. First, we have to talk about the NBL, the National Basketball League. It is widely considered the second or third best domestic league in the world, not because it has the highest flying athletes, but because it is the most physically punishing, tactically rigorous league outside of Europe. The NBL allows a level of contact on the perimeter and in the paint that would result in a flagrant foul in the NBA. When KAI SOTTO made the pivotal decision to forego college and sign with the Adelaide 36 Airs under the NBL's Next Stars program, he was stepping into a meat grinder. He was a skinny teenager going up against grown, powerful men who were fighting for their livelihoods. During his time in Adelaide, Sato experienced the figure 3 advantage firsthand. He learned that simply being tall was not enough. The Australian big men would hit him early in the transition. They would root him out of the block using lower body leverage, and they would set bruising screens. Sato had to adapt. He had to learn how to absorb contact, how to hold his heel in the post, and how to operate within a highly structured offensive system that did not cater to isolation basketball. This experience was invaluable. It forged a toughness in him that is now paying massive dividends as he dominates the B League and pursues his NBA dream. The figure 3 advantage also refers to the youth development pathways in Oceania. In Australia, the Australian Institute of Sport and the various state-level academies prioritize fundamental movement mechanics, decision-making under pressure, and defensive rotations from a very young age. They do not just teach kids how to score. They teach them how to play winning basketball. By the time an Australian prospect hits the NBL or heads over to the NBA, think of Josh Giddey, Dyson Daniels, or Patty Mills. They possess a basketball IQ that is years ahead of their peers. New Zealand employs a similar rugged philosophy. The tall blacks have a cultural identity built around the haka, which translates directly to their play style. Fearless, united, and incredibly physical. They rebound as a collective. They fight through screens rather than going under them. And they execute half-court sets with militaristic precision. For Hylas Pilipinas and the Japanese national team to truly dominate, and for players like Kawamura and Sato to reach their absolute zenith, their respective home countries must internalize this figure three advantage. The Philippines has an abundance of raw talent, passion, and creativity that is unmatched anywhere in the world. The street ball culture creates players with incredible handles and shot-making ability. But the translation from street ball or collegiate stardom to international dominance requires the structural discipline found in Australia. It requires a domestic league that enforces physical play, so that when Hylas faces the Boomers in a FIBA qualifier, they are not shocked by the contact. Japan has made incredible strides by modernizing the B-League, creating a multi-tiered system that attracts elite imports and forces local players to elevate their game. The rise of Yuki Kawamura is a direct result of this improved domestic competition. But even Japan can learn from the oceanic model of producing taller, more physically imposing wing players who can switch across multiple positions defensively. Imagine a scenario where the tactical discipline and physical toughness of the Australian system are combined with the lightning speed of Japanese guards and innate flair and verticality of Filipino big men. That is the ultimate basketball alchemy. When we visualize KAI Sotto and YUKI Kawamura on the same NBA team, we are visualizing the manifestation of this perfectly blended style. We are seeing a Filipino center who has been battle-tested in the Australian NBL, catching passes from a Japanese point guard who has been forged in the high-stakes environment of the B-League and the Olympic Games. It is a synthesis of international basketball philosophies coming together on the ultimate stage. Furthermore, let us consider the defensive metrics and the pace of play. The modern NBA is incredibly fast. Transition offense is paramount. Kawamura is a one-man fast break. When he secures a long rebound or receives an outlet pass, he puts immense pressure on the retreating defense. KAI Sotto runs the floor remarkably well for a man of his stature. The ability of an NBA team to utilize Kawamura's hit-ahead passing to find Sotto rim running before the opposing defense can set up their half-court shell would generate a staggering number of high-percentage looks. In the half-court, the Australian-style split actions and dribble handoffs will be incredibly effective for this duo. Imagine Kawamura pitching the ball to Sotto at the elbow and then utilizing a backdoor cut or flare screen. Sotto's vision from the high post, an attribute he heavily developed during his time with the Adelaide 36ers, will allow him to pick apart the defense just as effectively as he catches lobs. This entire discussion circles back to why the international game is rapidly catching up to the United States. It is the cross-pollination of ideas. The figure three advantage is no longer a secret confined to Melbourne or Auckland. It is being studied in Manila and Tokyo. The fact that we are even having a realistic conversation about a Philippine center and a Japanese point guard acting as a foundational piece for an NBA franchise speaks volumes about how far the infrastructure has come. Sotto's current dominance in the B-League, showing elite rim protection and an expanding offensive bag, proves that his development curve is right on schedule. Kawamura's ability to step onto an NBA floor and immediately command the respect of veterans proves that his basketball IQ transcends physical limitations. As we wrap up this extensive deep dive into the intertwined futures of KAI Sotto, Yuki Kawamura, and the shifting balance of global basketball, we have to recognize the gravity of the moment. We are witnessing the rewriting of the scouting manual. For decades, the blueprint for an NBA prospect was largely standardized. But the emergence of these two unique talents proves that greatness can be forged in different fires, whether it's the high-speed, precision-based systems of Japan, the passionate, pressure cooker environment of the Philippines, or the bruising, highly tactical battlegrounds of Australia and New Zealand. The concept of bringing Yuki Kawamura and KAI Sotto together on a single NBA team is infinitely more than a hypothetical scenario to drive jersey sales and social media engagement across the Asian continent. It is a legitimate, tactically sound basketball strategy that capitalizes on the exact trends dominating the modern game. Elite, high-speed decision-making in the pick and roll, coupled with massive vertical spacing and rim protection. Kawamura has already proven that his lack of height is completely offset by his superhuman processing speed and playmaking ability. He reads the floor like a chess grandmaster, anticipating defensive rotations before they even happen. Sotto has proven that his towering frame is supported by genuine basketball skill, soft hands, and a growing understanding of how to use his body, an understanding fundamentally accelerated by his time experiencing the figure 3 advantage in the Australian NBL. When we talk about the advantage in Australia and New Zealand that should be focused on, we are offering a roadmap for the rest of the world. Healers Philippines, Akatsuki Japan, and every other developing basketball nation must look at the Boomers and the Tall Blacks not just as regional rivals to be conquered, but as institutional models to be studied. The focus must be on cultivating robust grassroots programs that teach the nuances of weak side help defense, off-ball screening, and physical resilience. It is about creating domestic leagues that do not just entertain, but actually prepare players for the sheer violence and speed of international competition. If KAI Sotto and YUKI Kawamura ever don the same NBA jersey, they will carry with them the hopes of millions. But more importantly, they will step onto the court as the ultimate proof of concept. They will be the living, breathing evidence that when you combine elite Asian talent with the physical and tactical lessons learned from the oceanic basketball infrastructure, you create players who are not just capable of surviving in the NBA, but capable of thriving and redefining how the game is played. The Kaiju has returned. The Japanese speedster is putting on a show, and the global basketball landscape will never be the same. Thank you for joining me on this incredibly deep dive into mechanics, the history, and the brilliant future of international basketball.